This is Cashflow Ninja, episode 279 with Brian Fouts.
Welcome to the Cashflow Ninja, the podcast sharing how to create income streams and manage, multiply, and protect your wealth in the new economy. Here is your host inside the dojo, MC Laubscher.
Hello, Cashflow Ninjas. MC Laubscher here, and welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Ninja. I have a great show for you today, and in today's show, I'm joined by Brian Fouts, which is one of the owners of the Elevation Group, which teaches the world how to invest like the rich. At the Elevation Group, they empower people through knowledge and education about finance and investment. They dive into the world of the rich, into the homes of some of the wealthiest people on the planet who are willing to let them learn from them, and they let their customers look over their shoulders as they learn what they refer to as the secret black box investment strategies of the rich. The cool thing is that even though these are the strategies used by the rich, you don't have to be rich to use them. Even if you come from a family that have never had any money, and even if you are dead broke living in an apartment. After people join the Elevation Group, they have an entirely different mindset. They'll see opportunities that they've never seen before or even knew existed, and they'll also have the knowledge to take advantage of them. I've also partnered with the Elevation Group and Make More Marbles with Brad Hart to bring a cryptocurrency course to our listeners. You can start by watching a free webinar at cashflowninja.com/crypto course. Please share your feedback and thoughts on today's interview. You can let me know your thoughts on Twitter by tweeting me at MC Laubscher or by email at info@cashflowninja.com. And please remember to join our mailing list by signing up at cashflowninja.com or texting Cashflow Ninja to 44222. I'm publishing weekly and daily videos on YouTube. You can check out all of my videos at youtube.com/Cashflow Ninja. Please subscribe to my channel to get updates when I post these videos. Life settlement investments have allowed financial and banking institutions to not only buy their equity contractually, but also diversify their capital from any economic, market, and geopolitical risk. It's been part of the billion-dollar blueprint followed by institutional investors. And if you are an accredited investor, you can also now participate in this vehicle with enormous growth potential. You can watch an informational webinar presented by one of the premier organizations providing life settlement investments, Penumbra Solutions, at cashflowninja.com/life settlements. Blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies will not only disrupt money, but every industry on the planet. These new innovations and technologies will affect every area of our lives in the future. The cryptocurrency course teaches you everything you need to know about getting started and profiting with cryptocurrencies and includes expert training from the top crypto experts in the world. You'll learn how to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrencies, how to safely store your crypto, how to become a sound investor, even if you're just a beginner, and how to apply blockchain technology to your business. You can watch a free crypto masterclass and grab the crypto course at cashflowninja.com/crypto course. The wealthiest investors on the planet know how to capture their wealth and leverage it to perpetually grow it. If you're interested in learning the premier strategies of the wealthiest individuals and families on the planet, you can access your free webinar at cashflowninja.com/be the bank. Brian, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for allowing me to be here. This is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic to connect. So for my listeners out there, can you please share a little bit about your background and journey with them?
Yeah, definitely. So I started out, I guess I'd call it the traditional path that we all started in, go to school, get a, good job, save money to your 401k and pray that you're going to have a great financial future sometime down the road when you're 80 years old. But that didn't work out for it. That was not the path that my brother Jake and I were passionate about. And I think a lot of people out there can relate to that. And so we went on this journey to become financially free and investors. And we did that started that journey about 7 years ago. And it's been rocky. We've had some ups and downs. We learned a lot. But through that journey, we've really opened our eyes to another world out there that is available for anybody who wants to actually pursue it and take action. So we did that. We started investing in real estate, notes, consumer debt, oil and gas, just to name a few asset classes, working with some individuals. At one point, we were doing very, very well, getting 20% returns, and then some bad decisions that we were learning. We lost everything. Lost everything I own, all my investments, over $500,000, my own money, family's money just gone, wiped out. No income anymore all of a sudden, and had to figure out what to do. And so that's, I'm not going to dive into what that was all about, but, imagine some of the scariest things you didn't imagine happening. Your kids' college fund's gone, not be able to pay your mortgage all of a sudden. Like, what do you do? But here we are today. We became members of the Elevation Group years ago and learned a lot of awesome strategies from people that are actually doing it and doing it safely. And we dived into that world. And then here we are 2 years later. Now we're the owners of the Elevation Group. We actually bought the business that taught us everything that we know now, and most of it, and are now taking others and letting them gain that same information, that same access that we had back then, and learn from also our mistakes. And we're helping people do that on the right path and right journey. So that's what we're really passionate about right now, is helping people learn those same strategies that have helped us achieve the life that we have today.
Yeah, that's fantastic, because I was a member too. I joined as it came out, and going through that learning experience and everything. And then all of a sudden, fast forward a couple of years, you guys own it, and you guys are now creating fantastic content for it.
Yeah, it's awesome, right? It's amazing. And when I was a member of it, you're sitting there learning all these things, saying, man, it would be so cool to be able to interact with these people and be inside these circles. And
yeah.
I couldn't even comprehend being that. And now I'm just like, now I'm like, okay, how do we grow this even bigger? How do we get even more people inside here? How do we bring more advisors to this? And it's just a completely different world now. And, I've realized that it's who it's the access that you have can really change your life when you're able to take action on it. Because my saying is you've heard it before, knowledge is power.
Right.
You hear that all the time, knowledge is power. And I'm like, okay, now my take on that, that's okay. That's an okay saying. But to me, it's knowledge plus action is powerful, because that's when the real results happen, when you actually take action on that knowledge.
Right. And I think that's the big thing that a lot of people struggle with, is that taking that leap and just doing it, right? You've got to start somewhere, because you're going to fail too. It's like the doing, the action, the doing, and then failing. And then there's more and more lessons, right? So, a crucial part. The other thing too is that you guys talk about a lot is the role that mentorship plays, and your environment and the people that surround yourself with. Jim Rohn talks a lot about that. Can you speak about the importance of that environment, and how you spend your time is important, but also who you spend your time with?
Yeah, so the thing that I learned a lot is that you're a product of your environment. You're influenced throughout your life by those who are around you the most, and that's your parents and family, and then eventually becomes an employer even. That's who you're around. That's who shapes your financial future. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't really realize that. We want to get different information. We want to grow, but what you're starting with is what you end up becoming. And so you have to change that environment. And so it's like, you've heard the saying, your income is the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. And I've seen that time. And again, I was just like that. And so for me, and for a lot of our members, what you can learn from this is when you want to change, you have to look at who you're around, because the one thing that you're influenced, what they influence in you is your mind. That is what you're being influenced, is how you think and how your perception of everything is being influenced. You have to protect this. You have to protect your mind. And if you want to change, this is where it starts, right here, and just being aware of that. So for me, it was just, I actually started hanging out with other individuals. I started reading books. I started watching a lot of videos. I was a member of Elevation Group as a great example. I started surrounding myself with, even virtually or even through a book, others who were doing something I wanted to do or had grown to where I wanted to be. So that's how I was really able to do that. And so today, my life is completely different. I still have my family and friends that I hang out with, but I'm very aware of my speech, my thoughts when I'm around them and how they influence me. I protect that. And so I just got back from traffic and conversion as an example. I'm around like-minded individuals. Through the Elevation Group, I'm talking with advisors and wealth advisors who have a completely different way of thinking, and they've allowed me to grow. I've learned from them. They're my coaches. They're my mentors. And I've also been a part of a lot of masterminds and paid for coaching and mentors because I know that those are going to allow me to grow. And so being in these masterminds with people that are, they're making $100 million plus a year, it really changes the way that you think about money and your life when you see what they're doing, because they think differently, they act differently. And it's not hard to be like that, but you have to be aware of it and be around it. As an example, whenever I go on a trip and then I come back to my life, my family stuff, I have to be very aware of not getting sucked back into some of those routines that I'm trying to change. Because we all are in those routines. And the biggest thing for me when I coach people one-on-one is just being aware of that, being aware of your routine. And so I always say, don't try to change right away, but become aware first. So I always go through this exercise with them of tracking their time throughout the day, where they spend their time, and then throughout the week and stuff. What are they focusing on? What inputs are they getting from whether it's social media, all these things that influence you, and they start to look at it and start to see, okay, now I've got a picture of where I'm at in my life and what I'm actually consuming. Now you start changing different parts of it. Okay, take this part out, replace it with something else. Spend a half hour doing this. All these different things, you start to change your. I call it the inputs that you have throughout your life and throughout your day. And that really can be powerful. It's like that 2-degree shift can make a massive difference, down the road. And that's what's really, I didn't make a massive shift in my life. It wasn't like 1 month I was in the rat race and, 2 months later I was, a millionaire and with multiple businesses and all this crazy stuff.
Right.
It takes time to do that kind of stuff. It takes time, but you have to start today. And like one of my favorite sayings is, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
Right.
Camera's messing up, but it's 20 years ago. But the second best time is today.
You're listening to Brian Fouts on the Cashflow Ninja podcast. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. This is MC Laubscher, the host of the Cashflow Ninja podcast. As you may know, I'm also the president and chief wealth strategist of Valhalla Wealth Financial. We help individuals, families, small businesses, entrepreneurs, and professionals build their wealth outside of Wall Street and help investors maximize the use of every dollar in their personal economy and boost their investment gains. We do this by combining the capital and investments with the financial vehicle of the wealthy according to the infinite banking concept. If you're interested to learn more about privatized banking and the infinite banking concept, you can access an exclusive webinar at cashflowninja.com/be-the-bank. You're listening to Brian Fouts on the Cashflow Ninja podcast, and now back to our interview. Absolutely. And I like what you said there too, the incremental steps. I just think of my personal journey too. It's all these little things snowball, and eventually before you know it, you look around and you go, wow, in the last 7 years, I was able to be able to achieve that because of that long-term thinking and just preparing what you're talking about. What were some of the core investing principles and things that you've learned from these people that you've interviewed for the Elevation Group, and what you've learned from very, very wealthy investors and also their advisors?
So a couple of things. So one was just understanding where money comes from and what it is. Mm-hmm. So a lot of us look at it and we say, okay, I need to make $100 now so I can go buy X tomorrow.
Right.
And so we're always focused on trading our time for money, and we want to get paid now. So, and that's why people have jobs that pay them a salary, that pay them, per hour. It's why when people sell their car, they say, okay, I want to get paid now. They sell their house, I want to get paid now. It's always, I want to get paid now. Versus the wealthy, they don't think that way. They don't never ask that question, how to get paid now. They really don't think about that. They think about, how do I get paid for life? When they look at something, they look at an investment, an opportunity. They don't want to get paid now. That's fine, but they want to get paid for life.
Right.
And that's the liability versus, an asset. An asset produces income for life, or it can. A liability, it sucks income away from you, your net worth.
Right.
So they are always asking that question about anything, is how to get paid for life, even a job. And then the 3 sources of income is a big one. So if there's 3 sources of how you get income typically in your life, and the first one is active income. And that's where most people just sit. They sit in that mode of just active income for 40 years, trading their time for money. And they'll take some of that money and they'll put it aside. And they'll put it into the second source of income, which is portfolio income. Portfolio income is an asset that doesn't produce income until you sell it. So think about stocks, right? Those kinds of things. They don't produce income. They have value, yes, but to get income from them, you have to sell it. And so what most people want to do is they think this is the best way to do it, is they go from active income and then they move at some point, they transition in their life, they stop with the active or they supplement it then all of a sudden with the second one, which is portfolio income. That's the path. The wealthy, though, they focus on the third source of income, and that's passive, or I call it passive cash flow. And that's assets that provide you income regardless. You don't have to sell that asset to get the income. So think of like the best analogy is a rental property. A rental property will provide you income today, tomorrow, 20, 30 years from now as well. And yet you still own the asset. It hasn't gone down in value because you're selling it like a portfolio, like a stock. So a lot of people are worried about their 401k because to get income, they have to sell it. So, you think about, this is the value of the 401k, and over time it goes like this and goes to zero eventually.
Right.
And that's the day you die, is when it goes to zero. But in reality, it's not going to be. You're going to live longer than that. And so the wealthy, though, they understand active income, they understand portfolio, but they understand the power of the passive income strategy. And so they focus on moving from one to the other as quick as possible and getting that passive income, because that's what can provide true wealth and financial freedom through cash flow. And so I think really understanding that is very powerful. A lot of people just don't understand it. They spend 90% of their time in active income. The wealthy that we talk with, they spend the majority of their time focusing on portfolio and mainly passive cash flow or passive income. That's where they focus their energy on. They'd rather not get paid active today and get paid passive later on down the road. That is a phenomenal concept right there.
Absolutely. And also the least taxed, right? Passive income is also the least taxed. So it plays into this holistic approach to wealth where you not only invest in the asset classes that produce the cash flow, but it's also positioned effectively to protect yourself against wealth destroyers, taxes, all these fees. I mean, you mentioned 401ks. Oh my goodness. What is it? John Bogle, that Vanguard group is out here in Pennsylvania, that the studies that they've done, about 2/3 of your gains are eaten up just through fees. Right. And then, and also deferring taxes, which is probably the worst thing that you can do, because, you and I are not soothsayers, but we look at some of the trends out there from a tax perspective, what's it now? Almost 21 trillion. I know it's just, you just keep adding on to it. The national debt and states that are bankrupt and municipalities that are bankrupt. You kind of put all this together and you see what they're doing in California and Illinois. And you you don't need to be a soothsayer then to figure out that the taxes is the way that they're going to raise that. Another thing that you mentioned too is money, what money is, how money works. And what's quite fascinating is that topic is now mainstream because of cryptos. Cryptocurrencies has actually challenged people to figure out what money is, and more people than ever are now awake, because they used to be the guys throwing it at your face at a cocktail party saying, well, it's not backed by anything. Well, not any money on the planet is backed by anything right now except trust, right? Or confidence. You guys have touched on the cryptocurrencies, and the course that you guys have put out with Brad Hart, previous guest of the show, is just phenomenal. A lot of my listeners that invested in themselves and doing this course have reached out to me. They absolutely love it. They've learned so much. Can you talk a little bit about the crypto space, and then also from an educational standpoint, how you guys are providing maximum value to folks through this crypto course? Right.
So the crypto space is very unique. And so when I started in that space, I looked at it and said, okay, there's something here. There's something here. And in the tradition of the Elevation Group, we started going out and reaching out to our network and saying, who's in this space? Who do we know that we can reach, so that, Jake and Brian, we can learn, and also Elevation Group community can also learn together what's going on. And what we kind of found out is that this is sort of the next evolution of just technology and where we're going with everything. And like you said, money's not backed. It's not really backed by anything. And you think about like a dollar bill. Everybody says, oh, this is money. It's like, well, no, not really. It's the government says it has value, so it does. And we all think it has value, and we back it. That's really what backs it. Now, when you think about all the currency that's in circulation, a very small percentage of it is actually physical. Most of our currency, our fiat currency, the dollar bill, or it's actually digital. It shows up on your bank account, but it's not physical. You can't go grab that cash and run away with it. There's a limited supply of it. If everybody went to the banks and said, I want to pull my money out, there would be a massive problem because there's not that much physical currency in circulation to actually do that. And so when people say, oh, it's not real. I'm like, well, either is a lot of your dollar bills, all of your money is usually not, it's not real because you can't go get it. It's digital.
Right.
And so unlike, when it used to be backed by gold and silver is, there's a finite amount of it. There's only so much gold we can ever have in the world, and it's physical. So it's like everybody always says, oh, it's not backed by anything. It's like, well, okay, this is a natural progression of where we're going.
Right.
And not having to need all of these controls in place for the government and banks to control our money. Because in reality, the way I look at it, the wealthy, what they really want to do is they want to control their money. They want to control their wealth. They want to be the ones to control it, not the banks, not Wall Street, not the government. And so this is what cryptocurrency is actually doing, is allowing people to have more control in that space. But also there's a lot of technology behind what's going on in cryptocurrency. And so we're just seeing right now, the way I look at it is, 15 years ago, could you have imagined live streaming through a digital camera on your phone to Facebook?
No, it's
couldn't even
crazy.
have comprehended that.
Yep.
So take that into cryptocurrency. Right now, today, we can't even comprehend where we'll be at in 5 or 10 years with it. We can't even think about the things it's going to solve or change in our lives. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait for it. But you're seeing also companies start to accept it. You just saw Goldman Sachs just bought Polynex, which is one of the biggest changes out there for cryptocurrency. You're seeing massive institutions get into the space. And so if people want to think that, oh, it's not legitimate, I call BS on that, because you're seeing these massive banks, massive people get into this space, and they're backed by trillions of dollars. And they can't even get in yet because it's not even that big of a space yet. That's why I get excited about it, is that there's just so much potential inside here. And we're just seeing what's happening right now.
Yeah, because a lot of the Wall Street guys and hedge funds, when it hits 1 trillion in market cap, that's kind of where a lot of them will come in. Because if you're just a broker inside of that house, imagine you go up to the guy that you're reporting to, hey, I've got this great play in cryptos, and they came in and they just purchased right at the top before the slight correction, right? You'll be without a job. But once an asset class is over $1 trillion, now it's established kind of legitimacy, and more of these guys will flow into that. So absolutely very exciting stuff. I tend to look at it now as we're at the stage kind of still a Netscape communicator maybe before dial-up, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on. For you guys that have not purchased that course, you can grab it at cashflowninja.com/crypto course. It's a fantastic course that Brian and his team has put together and partnered with Brad Hart, that was also on the show before. Now, Brian, a core message in our show is to leave our families, communities, and the world better than we found it by passing down a mindset, values, and principles to future generations, not just money. So if you cannot pass on any money to future generations, and we're only allowed to pass on 3 principles to them to build wealth and achieve happiness and success, what would they be?
So the first one is understand what the people around you are not doing.
Right.
And so what I mean by that is that look at your current environment, and that's what you're going to become. And if that's not what you're passionate about, you need to get outside of that circle. And that's what I'm always talking about, is grow outside of your circle of influence. So I'd always tell people, look at other opportunities that are outside there that other people are doing, and start growing out of that and gaining more knowledge about what others are doing, and people that are passionate about what they're doing as well. Because a lot of us do things in life, and we're like later on in life, we're saying, man, I wish I could do X, or I don't like my job. So when you're young is the best time to find out what you're passionate about. Find other people that are doing that for their career or their business, and go towards that direction. Go that direction. Find something you're passionate about and go there. Because you don't want to be 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road in a job that you don't like, doing something you're not passionate about, and saying, I wish I should have done this, all that stuff. So like even my kids, I tell them, I should go to college. I'm like, maybe. I wish I hadn't gone to college. I wish I hadn't gone to college. I wish I'd done something else instead. I wish I'd done something I was passionate about. And, it take a long time to do that. So that's one thing I would talk about to younger generation about doing that, because once you're passionate about something, it's amazing how quickly it can become a business, a career, something, and because you're going to thrive inside of it.
Right.
It's hard to thrive in a job or something that you're not excited about. It's really hard to thrive there. So that's one thing I would strongly suggest is do that. Two is just understand that money is just a tool to get what you want. It's not the things. Like I always tell people, said, "Oh, I'll give you $1,000 in cash. Do you like that?" Yes. Okay. You're going to put it on your mantle and just look at it. You're going to put it in you're going to frame the $1,000 and look at it. No, of course not.
Right.
You're going to go buy something with it. You're going to do that. So I always tell people, I said, money is just a tool. There are lots of tools out there. It's just one of the tools out there that's available. And then the other one I would also, caution other generations about is assets. Accumulating assets that have value no matter what happens to a dollar bill. If the dollar bill goes away, do your assets still have value? And get as many of those things you can as possible. Get assets. Because a lot of us don't think about that. We think, I want to have a bigger 401k. I want to have a bigger bank account. That's great. But having an asset that has value no matter what's going on in the world is phenomenal. And those are things like, precious metals are a great example. Things like real estate. Someone can pay you $1,000 a month for a rental property, but they could just as well pay you with food and clothing if that was a value at that time. Or they could pay you in gold. There's always going to be something of value out there that you're going to want that you can trade an asset for. Yeah. So always have assets because they are phenomenal. That's why the wealthy have this. And along the lines of that one right there is that if you want to have true wealth and financial freedom and security in your life, you don't get income from one thing. You get it from typically an average of 5 to 7 different sources, whether that's a job, a business, real estate, some investments. You have other assets that provide you income. That's really what you want to do is say, okay, I'm going to get income from this, and then you're going to leverage it into something else. Everybody we study, every successful investor, wealthy advisor, they all have multiple sources of income. So they're not worried that they lose their job. They don't even have a job. But if this business fails, okay, that sucks, but they have other sources of income. Okay, some of my rental properties burned up. No big deal. I've got sources of income. And they're always leveraging and growing that. So I would tell the other generations, don't put your blinders on and say, I'm going to go to this job for 10, 20, 30 years, and that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. Leverage that into other sources of income because that's really how you create that financial freedom.
Absolutely. Yeah. Brian, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your knowledge and your journey and providing so much value for my listeners. You can learn about the Elevation Group at theelevationgroup.com. And you can also grab the crypto course, which is quite amazing. I've been getting raving reviews from all of my listeners that have signed up for it at cashflowninja.com/crypto course. Brian, thank you so much.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining me again on the Cashflow Ninja, and thank you for all of your support. You rock. If you like what you hear and appreciate what we're trying to build here at the Cashflow Ninja, please subscribe, rate, and review our show on iTunes and share our show with family, friends, and your network. If you're not a subscriber to the Cashflow Ninja Gosh Good newsletter, you can sign up for our newsletter at cashflowninja.com or text Cashflow Ninja to 44222. Life settlement investments have allowed financial and banking institutions to not only buy their equity contractually, but also diversify their capital from any economic, market, and geopolitical risk. It's been part of the billion-dollar blueprint followed by institutional investors. And if you're an accredited investor, you now can also participate in this vehicle with enormous growth potential. You can watch an informational webinar presented by one of the premier organizations providing life settlement investments, Penumbra Solutions, at cashflowninja.com/life settlements. Blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies will not only disrupt money, but every industry on the planet. These new innovations and technologies will affect every area of our lives in the future. The cryptocurrency course teaches you everything you need to know about getting started and profiting with cryptocurrencies, and also includes expert training from the top crypto experts in the world. You will learn about how to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrencies, how to safely store your crypto, how to become a sound investor, even if you're just a beginner, and how to apply blockchain technology to your business. You can watch a free crypto masterclass and grab the crypto course at cashflowninja.com/crypto crypto course. The wealthiest investors on the planet know how to capture their wealth and leverage it to perpetually grow it. If you're interested in learning the premier strategies of the wealthiest individuals and families on the planet, you can access your free webinar at cashflowninja.com/be the bank. That's our show for today, everyone. Until next time, live a life of passion and purpose on your terms. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. The information being presented and considered does not consider your particular financial objectives or situation, and it does not make personalized recommendations. This material is not intended to replace the advice of a qualified tax and legal advisor or other qualified professionals, and you should not use the information in place of a customized consultation with a licensed professional regarding your specific personal financial objectives, situation, and needs. We believe the information provided is reliable, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, timeliness, or completeness.